Hello and welcome back to Loopholes and Lockouts, everybody. Today we are going to be running a fairly similar episode to last week. We're going to be doing part 2 of the trade table, so that was quite fun to do that last week. It was fun for us, and then hopefully you guys enjoyed it too. But yeah, let's do a little Supercoach wellness check. How are we feeling for this upcoming week, lads? It's been a quick little turnaround since Easter. Obviously, just TLT dropping the same day as the 12-18 lockout. How are you guys feeling about it?
Yeah, I mean, things are pretty straightforward for me this week. There's someone that has to come into the team, so I haven't been stressing too much about things. But yeah, not too bad.
Not looking at a panic boost, mate?
Nah, I've looked into options, but there's nothing good enough to warrant it. So
yeah, cool. Bit of tinkering's been done today
as always.
And yesterday. You, Ben, you feeling good?
Yeah, I was in a bit of shambles this morning. I was considering a little boost to sort of explode, but thinking about it, I just don't really need to do it. I've got players that I can back in for the next little bit. And a big thanks to the lads for sort of talking me through my options. I've now got a clear plan for the next 2 weeks, pre any injuries that happen on the weekend, which fingers crossed they don't. But yeah, looking forward to it. Got a bit of an injury risk at fullback now, but we love to see it. So yeah.
Who would have thought you'd flip on your trades? Anyway, let's get into the show. So today, obviously, we'll be starting with the trade table. Team list, and then moving straight into the first segment. Trade table, and then
Physio
what have we got
Files.
coming up? Physio Files, yeah,
And
cool.
then our panic buys and sells is a classic, and obviously
Happy
finishing
days.
with our tips like every week. So yeah,
and trades.
Trades.
Yeah.
Cool. Happy days. Well, yeah, let's rip into the first team, eh?
Let's rip in. Bulldogs versus Penrith on Thursday night. Main changes over here. We've got Bronson Jerry coming into the centres. Stephen Crichton drops out of the side with that injury.
Who would have thought a centre would play centre, eh?
Pretty crazy.
Sorry to cut you off there.
No, you're good, mate. Mitch Kenny comes in at 9. IPAP still keeps that starting role, obviously, with Luke Garner on the bench. Otherwise, I think that's pretty much it. Any quick notes on the Dogs Penrith game? Bit of a slaughtering inbound, probably.
Oh, yeah.
Feels bad for Freddie Lussick. He actually played really well last week. I was thoroughly impressed, but obviously you're not getting the spot over Mitch Kenny with his line speed and defense. So yeah, it's just looking like a slaughtering to me as well. I think there's going to be a fair few points in this. The Dogs' defense are not quite as convincing last week as I've seen it.
Yeah, just quickly, because we probably won't talk about him later. Tom Jenkins, 870k. Could you do it? Could you?
You could, I think, because there is still value there. He still has a lowish break even. Obviously has hundreds in the rolling average. Definitely could still do it. It's probably conceivable that he's going to be the first milli man in Supercoach potentially this year if the Panthers keep going on a roll. Their draw looks pretty good, but we've spoken out about it before. The try scoring's probably going to dry up. Maths probably just suggests that, but geez, he looks good at the moment and definitely possibly a play. I don't think I could do it, but
Just thinking back to last week as well, what side did South score all their points at centre and wing on? The left-hand side. So, Penrith will just exploit that all day, I'm sure. There were little short kicks, but look, if there's a team that's going to one-up the Bunnies, it's going to be the Penrith Panthers left edge.
Yep.
yeah. I'd chalk him down to another one Newcastle have missed, so pretty sure he came from there.
Yeah,
Yep,
he did.
He did.
Ouch. Dragons, mass changes for the Dragons. Their change against Manly. So Clint Gutherson drops out with a something injury.
Hamstring.
There we go. Beautiful. Daniel Atkinson and Kyle Flanagan swap roles. So Atkinson in his more natural 5'8" role and Kyle Flanagan back to the 7. Toby Couchran is actually in the starting side this time. We'll see if that changes last second. Manly are persisting with this Brandon Wakeham starting in hooker business, which is interesting to say the least. Otherwise, I think this is an unchanged side from the side that smashed up the Dolphins. Thoughts on the Dragons' changes in their spine?
I don't think it's going to do enough. They did look like they lacked some attacking creativity on the weekend, which I think Sloan will be good for. But I just don't think that change would have come pre the Gutherson injury. So I just don't see... There's just no one to pass the ball to when they need something created, I feel, with that team. They're kind of just sort of doing the most little bits, like sending second rowers under and hoping they just bust through magically. It's not going to work. So they're going to need a sharp improvement to not get points put on them by Manly.
Forgot to say as well, Setu 2 into the side for holders of him.
Yeah, that's worked out quite nicely, hey?
That actually did work out not too bad in the end.
Could be a 1 week thing though. David Farley obviously suspended for 1 week. So
Yeah, well, I mean, even if it's 1 week, his break even, I believe, is 5.
yeah.
So
Nice.
I feel okay that he's going to beat that and get up to maybe the 300s, which would be pretty cool.
Yeah.
Broncos versus the Cowboys Friday night. Jesse Arthurs, as we suspected, takes a spot at fullback over Reece Walsh. Adam Reynolds is named to play at halfback despite that adductor injury, which is very interesting. We'll see if that persists throughout the week. Otherwise, I think this Broncos team is basically unchanged. For the Cowboys, I believe there's no changes here as well, except for Kai O'Donnell coming onto the edge with Sam McIntyre getting injured last week. As well, Blake Moser comes onto the bench in the 14 jersey.
Yeah, good to see him get a run. But,
Got too many hookers.
So many hookers.
Yeah.
I just don't really know where he fits in. I'd personally like to see him get more of a run, but the Broncos and Madge seem to favour Pakes, and then obviously Walters when he comes back, and then obviously Ben Hunt's injured for now, but see how that goes. Obviously on the Reynolds thing, Broncos have been seen to play a bit of a what do they call it? Smoke and mirrors. A bit with the whole Payne Haas thing, and then I think they listed Reno for that other game he was injured, then dropped him out or something like that, and then I don't know. So it could be anything. Duffy could easily jump into there, but yeah, nothing really Supercoach reliant.
He's a smoky to start. Apparently, he's in doubt, but apparently they want to play him. So obviously they were happy to play him last week if they needed to, but in the end they didn't, which was great. Ben Hunt played through his injury, but yeah, apparently he's possibly in doubt, and I don't think he'll have the output we usually expect from Reno, but that's all right. You know, he's a experienced brain and he's got a good kicking game, so that's all we can ask.
Yep, cool. And Laybutt stays glued to the Cowboys bench in favour of Chester, which is good news for us Chester owners.
Well, yeah.
Bunnies versus the Raiders over in Perth. Jed Stewart takes a spot on the wing in favour of Xavier Savage. And honestly, I think that's the only change. Keon backs up, and Brandon Smith gets a starting 9 jersey, which is good news for, we all brought him in last week, and I'm sure lots of other people will as well, or will in the coming weeks. What else is going on here? I don't think there's a lot in this game. Good old Perth getting its first showing before the Bears drop in next week. Bit of a weird game with this one. Two sides kind of underperforming from their preseason expectations. The Bunnies have got wins but haven't been convincing. Is probably fair to say.
Yeah, I think this will be a high scorer. Both defenses are looking quite shaky this year. So, I don't know. Neither attack is really filling me with confidence. They have their shining moments, and then they have some very poor moments where it doesn't look like there's a lot doing. So it'll be an interesting watch for sure.
I want to see the battle between Sasungi and Trell Mitt. Obviously, Trell Mitt's that guy, but we know how he can be a bit lazy sometimes. So we'll see how that kind of goes down the right side.
Yeah, that will be interesting. Tell you what, now that I think about it, maybe that's a deterrent for a Trell captaincy. Sasungi's a pretty good defender.
Yeah, he is, yeah. He has practiced defending in the middle as well, I should say. So not afraid of a bigger body that Latrell is.
Yep. Sharks versus the Roosters, also in Perth, I believe. Yes, that's correct. I don't think there's any changes to either of these sides, just lining up as expected. Reece Robinson still at 9 and Connor Watson on the bench. Victor Radley takes the lock jersey and Siwa Wong and Crichton still keep their spots on the edge. So it'll be interesting to see how this Roosters bench kind of operates now that it looks like most of, if not all, the troops kind of back.
Yeah, Spencer Linu back this week. Egan Butcher back, who was playing lock 2 weeks ago. He's dropped straight out of the team, so he's in the reserves now. The extended reserves, yeah. So a bit of a rough showing from him because I didn't think he played all that badly, but obviously they just got all the squad back now, so he's got to find a sort of play on the back foot for a little bit and then he'll get his chance, I'm sure.
Yep. Melbourne versus the Warriors down at Amy Park. Changes to the Storm backline in this one. Jack Howarth comes back into the centres and Leo comes back from his suspended concussion symptoms onto the wing. Tane Tuapiki keeps his spot at fullback. Chance keeps his spot in the centres. So that Warriors backline is the same as it was. No more changes. Cooper Clark keeps his spot in the second row. I think we suspect Lasardi is back next week.
Yeah, I think so.
It seems like he'll pretty easily fall into that spot. Doesn't seem like Sean Blore is anywhere to be seen, and Alec McDonald's not going to be taking that spot anytime soon. Still no sign of Kurt Capewell, so the Warriors second rowers will probably still have some decent roles for now.
Yep.
I think that's it here. Marani Nikroy, I believe, was playing pretty much exclusively in the middle against the Sharks. So I think that just might be what he is these days.
Yeah, I agree. I think Capewell will be the biggest threat to minutes, and obviously if he's not back, then still good minutes there for both edges.
Yep. Parramatta versus the Titans, a day game in, I believe it's in Sydney. Yep. Joe Ash keeps his spot at fullback. Onto the wing comes Araz Nanva.
Yep.
Nanva. In favour of Bailey Simonson. Ronald Volkman gets the starting 6 jersey, which would be interesting to see how Ronald goes. I think he had a little bit of a tough outing last season when he came in from memory, so hopefully a little bit of a better shift from Ronald. For the Titans, I believe this is an unchanged side for the 10th week in a row, even though they keep losing, which feels crazy. Mo Fodawaker is starting on the bench now, which I think he's done for a few weeks now. Anyway, it was a bit of an uptick from Tino last week, so we'll see if that continues. Really not much to note on this game. Not a ton of Supercoach plays floating around. I think that's literally it.
What would have been a popular cheapie, Twiddle, out with an AC joint, so that's unfortunate for him.
Yeah.
And the only other one for me is just keep an eye on Rama Howe this week. They'll look to get his big body one-on-one with Ronald Volkman, so it'll be interesting watch on that as well. I would definitely throw the reserve on him this week.
Yep. Tigers. Gerald Skelton comes onto the wing in favour of Luke Laulili while he's suspended for 1 week.
Yep.
I believe a lot of this Tigers back line is all returning soon. Like I think Taylor May's another couple weeks.
Yep.
Who else is?
Laulili obviously 1 week.
Stafford
and
Toa I think
Stafford
is pretty
Toa
soon as well.
Yep.
So a lot of people going to Tavana this week. Feels like he'll probably be out of that side sooner or later. He played pretty well in that game against Parramatta. They were really targeting with those high balls. But I don't know if that's a long-term play.
Yeah.
Tigers forward pack looks the same. Big boy Alex Chwal still got that 13 jersey and looks set for big minutes as always. And I believe this is an unchanged night side except for Bradman Best dropping out and Wilson DeCourcy coming in and the centres there. And I think that's it for Teamless, guys.
Yep.
Pretty uneventful week all in all, to be honest. Couple major changes, but otherwise...
Not really too much that's that important for Supercoach, I did note. The only thing I'll say as well with the Eels quickly is Will Penasini apparently in doubt. So he's racing for a return but may not actually play, which would just throw their right edge into even more turmoil. So look for your Faimanis, your Arama Howes, your JCs this week on the right edge of the Titans.
Yep.
Is that
sorry, my apologies. Look for your Brimsons and your Furmore this week.
Yep.
So yeah, interesting watch for me.
Lovely.
Just on that Tavano as well, though, I've seen him as like quite a popular trade and as a cheapie. And then I think he was even floated up as cheapie of the week by the official Supercoach page. And I'm like, dude, you got obviously Laulili suspended. You've got Stafford Toa coming back. You've got Taylor May coming back in the next 2 weeks. Stafford Toa came back to New South Wales Cup last week, so you'd think he'd be back next week, maybe.
Yeah, it may just be because it's a pretty short supply.
Yeah.
For legitimate cheapies.
And there's not been anyone, bar maybe now Chester, who I've unfortunately missed the boat on, who's actually going to explode. No one's had that big 100 in their average yet that's going to push them up over that 400k range. So it's pretty slim pickings down there. But I do imagine, correct me if I'm wrong from you two, but I think full strength will be Toa and May in the centres, Makasini on one wing, and Luke Laulili on the other. That's how I sort of see it at this point in time.
Probably. Oh, no, Taruva's going to have to play something.
Oh, Taruva actually, sorry. So
I don't actually know.
It won't be Laulili then, I'd say.
I feel so harsh on Lily, but yeah, it probably will be him out.
So when they're back to full strength, that's sort of what it would be.
And then you've got Tavana after Laulili, so it's like...
Yeah, and then Skelton as well. There's a lot of competition for wing spots.
Yeah, I wouldn't
and
touch on that.
Probably only one up for grabs, which is that Makasini side, who they seem to like. So,
righty, that is Teamless done for the week. Let's move into the trade table, gentlemen.
Perfect. We'll start with Alex's team. I had a quick look at this before the podcast. I was quite impressed. He's been motoring from the looks of it. Got a pretty nice setup for us. Obviously, looking pretty good. He's got 3 boosts left, 39 trades. Looks like he's set himself up well at the start of the season and not burned too many early trades.
I think that's 4 boosts because he's got that one.
Oh, 4 boosts. My apologies. Yes. So, it's a good setup for him. I guess talking down the line, I think he was keen on a boost this week, and I think that's probably good. It's a good week to set yourself up for a foreseeable future. Where are you lads sort of looking for a boost here? I'm potentially thinking maybe we get Brandon Smith eventually. Is it this week? Is it next week?
I'm not panicking there.
I wouldn't panic there, or I don't even know if that's boost worthy unless we need the cash. You could probably make more cash by going on Lasardi, so that's probably something I'm eyeballing at the moment. But I guess it just
like a Trey Mooney maybe down to either Lasardi or Ryan Couchman.
That's probably what I'm seeing there.
My question,
first place I'm looking this week is he's got the Sanders Atkinson double chippy halves. So that problem needs to be solved this week, in my opinion.
It looks like we might need more cash than a Benai to Brandon Smith.
Yeah,
he's got Reece Walsh. I think you go Walsh out and you go Sanders out to bring in Cleary. That's a good start.
Yep. I think he's also got Crichton. So would you consider the trade there this week? Currently playing Moses Lear, who you guys don't have a lot of faith in. I think he'll be good on the wing this week. But I don't think you want to play him every week.
I wouldn't be wanting to do that. The issue is if he goes Cleary, he's going to have very limited money for
That
whatever
flex
else he
option.
does. Yeah, like even if he goes Walsh to Cleary, does some swapping around with Turbo and brings like Lasardi, he's going to have to go Crichton to someone around a similar price bracket, which is really not many good names.
My question is, would you consider Sanders to Cleary, Reese to Chester, Crichton to McLean?
There's no way he can afford that.
Reese to Chester.
There's no way he can afford that. Reese,
According to the maths.
Cleary is more expensive than Reese.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
Cleary's more expensive than Reese. Sanders and Chester basically level off. And
Yeah.
McLean is an extra 150 count Crichton. There's no chance he can afford that.
True. Yeah, only 59k. In the
Even if he went like down to Lasardi and did some moving around, which he could definitely do, I still don't know if he'd be able to go Crichton to McLean.
Yeah, that's a good point.
We can look at how much it would be though. I can do some maths quickly. You guys keep talking.
So that's one thing I'm looking at. I mean, Crichton, again, you do want to trade him, but you can afford to wait an extra week before you trade him because he's not going to play and go down. But you do need to fix him before he comes back, obviously. And I think if you've got Herbie, it's a pretty good week to maybe look for a trade there so you don't have to play two cheapies. I don't have a lot of faith in the cheapies this year, like I did with your Tamale or your Purdue last year. They're not really putting out the same output. Other than Chester, that is, where you confidently play him every week. Even Macassini's had a bit of a downtick. Only scored the one try so far and no assists from memory. So, yeah.
Yeah, I reckon he can't afford that at all. I reckon he's got enough to do two trades where he goes Walsh Sanders to Lasardi Cleary and then basically break even.
Yep. And then obviously you'd flip any of your second rowers. Maybe, I don't know, Fafita, Kaipias Paul, any of them to your flex.
Yeah, you just move Kaipias Paul to flex. That's all good.
And then with a third, maybe a boost. What are we looking at?
See, Critter out looks good, but a center wings for like I think at most he'll have like 570. I don't know if there is anyone for that.
I wonder if you look at a Jesse Arthurs maybe next week if you hold
That's
Critter.
not bad. That's not bad.
Just see how he goes at fullback against the Cows.
There's also
Broncos still have
There's
a
also
solid
Todd
draw.
who's in that bracket as well. So I think there might be a
yeah,
couple.
true.
I think maybe he doesn't boost this week. I think you bring in Cleary because you have to.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you just kind of chill. I think we're all agreement that you only have a boost if it's awesome.
Yeah.
And I don't know if going Critter to like Arthur's or Brian Todd or something like that warrants. Is there anything else anyone would do with this team, like as a third trade? Bear in mind you've got basically no money in the bank.
Yeah. That's probably the trouble.
Yeah.
So we're doing Walsh to Cleary? Is that the straight swap?
Walsh to Cleary and then Sanders to Lasardi with flex stuff.
Sanders, Lasardi with flex stuff.
Yeah.
And then going, I guess
I'm
it
pretty confident
pigeonholes
that'll
you
work.
into going
So,
a 2RF now next
Yeah,
week,
yes,
but that's
perfect.
fine.
And then you probably play, I don't know, Kaipias Paul or whoever you want to play.
you'd move Kaipias Paul to flex. Sorry, what did you just say, mate?
Oh, nothing of real note. I was just saying we'd have to trade out a second row next week, which is fine, which is good.
To bring in...
To just move Lasardi out and... Oh, are you going to put Kai Pierce Paul?
Move Kai Pierce Paul to
and then,
flex.
Yeah, I guess you wouldn't. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
And
you
then
probably want to get Lasardi.
You'd be wanting to
No,
trade
we
out
have
a second row eventually anyway, so...
Yeah, I think next week, obviously, you could probably look at a Mooney down to a Couchman if you do want to go that double cheapie at second row. Yeah, I think probably not the week to boost just because you won't have any cash left after your Cleary trade.
I think you just have to do it.
Yeah, I think you just need Cleary.
Whether it's Cleary or... If you want to go Hines and play Atkinson next week, cool.
Yep.
It's just probably not as good.
It feels probably not as good in my opinion.
Yeah.
I think Hines is great, but I know in my team situation, I just think I need Cleary.
Yeah.
And, you can't keep having him get 110, 120 every single week and just not be on that boat.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're obviously paying a lot for him, but you got to, I think.
There's probably no one else I'd pay at 854 except for maybe like Herbie.
Yeah.
I mean, I own him anyway, but I'm just saying
Yeah. Well, yeah, you did almost spend that at the start of the year.
whatever he was at the start of the year.
Close to
Pretty
that. Yeah, it is another one that you consider paying that for. But yeah, probably just the two trades.
Feels pretty boring.
Yeah, I know.
But let's live it in the abstract world really quickly. If you wanted to go double cheapy half again for one more week and you held Sanders, what could you do? You could go Walsh to
Walsh to Cleary at flex, maybe.
Watch Cleary at flex, and then you'd have to make a little bit of money somewhere else. You go Crichton to, maybe you go early on Crichton to Jesse Arthurs.
Or Crichton to Chester, even.
Or someone, like that. Yeah.
And then,
Could you do flex things? No, you couldn't do flex things then. You'd have to go Crichton to Chester. That doesn't sound terrible.
No. I think that you just wait an extra week on that, for me, to be honest.
Yeah, I mean,
I do think that Cleary and Lasardi trade is better than what we just suggested.
Yeah, I think Sanders has to go.
Yeah, and then, the big one for me is probably just find a little bit of cash next week, wherever you can, because...
Yeah, well, I think that's just Crichton.
Yeah, Crichton's got to go to someone.
Would you trade Sanders over Atkinson?
Yeah, see, I've had this debate in my head. What I think is that the main appeal to Sanders is goal kicking, which they're not scoring points, so he's not kicking goals. I think that I think that Atkinson now might be a running 5'8". Hopefully, might unlock him a little bit more. That's my hope. Honestly, though, like it's much of a muchness to me.
Yeah.
I also see it as like Atkinson's 20K less than Sanders.
Make a bit more money, yeah.
So it's super tight though. If you believe in Sanders and you believe in the Raiders, like fair enough. I don't have anything against it at all. But I'm not going to play any of them ever again either way.
I'm just checking. Are we going to have enough money to do? What's Cleary costing?
$8.50.
You can definitely do it.
I thought it was $8.90 for some reason.
You can definitely do it.
Yep.
That will be next week.
Perfect.
Lovely. There you go,
Awesome.
Alex.
So yeah, that's the first one sorted.
Moving on
to friend of the show, Stewie, who would like us to note that he's already made a trade from Keon to Twal with the recent reports of MCL from Physio. So, I don't know if that's a confirmed MCL. I think it's just speculation around what it is. I don't think the Rabbitohs will give us any clarity as to what it is. They're just going to keep it in-house, which is fine. But I like the trade.
He's already done 2 trades. What was his other trade?
His other trade was, he told me.
Oh, Connor Tracy to McLean.
That's right, yes. So,
I mean, they sound like pretty good trades, to be honest.
yeah. Is there a world you go Naf White to 12 instead?
Of Keon.
Yeah.
Um,
See, for me, probably not, but for you guys, you might differ slightly. The thing is, Spencer's back this week, so that's more minutes.
Yeah,
off
I
the bench.
don't know if I'd hold Naf White.
Yeah.
Can he afford that? No, he definitely can't. He's only got 12K in the bank.
But he does have 4 boosts in the bank, so
okay,
again,
so he could
someone
boost.
who could boost.
So you could go White, Tracy, and who else would you want to trade out with this team? He's already got Cleary and Hines, which is good stuff. What else is going on here? I like Tamale, Setu to a pick. He's not been great, but I think that's still a hold. I think he's pretty okay, to be
He
honest.
bought Tuapiki last week, by the way.
Oh, he did?
Yeah. He started the season with him, sold him, and then brought him back.
Oh, ouch.
Well, I think he started the season with him.
That doesn't work that great. I think he's still fine, though.
Cooper Bye probably needs to get a little sidey. Is that a this week or a next week?
That's up, though.
No, it's down.
Oh, just down. Sorry, my mistake.
I don't think you have to rush on Cooper Bye.
Yeah, but I think Lasardi you'll need him next week, so I think that's a next week trade for that. Yeah, look, it's not a bad setup at all.
I think the only because if you sell Naf White, I don't think you can get McLean.
No, you can't. Yeah, so I think you do it the way
unless
you've
you
done
sold like I don't know
No.
Chan or something like that you don't really. Oh, hang on, he's got Yo. Oh, we could sell Yo.
We could so yeah.
I'm not attached to Yo at all. I don't know
Not
about
at
you
all.
guys.
No.
How much money do you have? So you go Naf White, he's like 550. Yo is 660. How much is Tracy? Does anyone know? Or can someone find?
Yes, I can absolutely
I
find
can
that.
probably find
you're
it
fine.
first. Because that's a fair bit of Bicky. Tracy is 600 flat. Okay, so he's got like let's say 1.8 mil to play with. So you could go 12 for 600. You could go McLean for 690.
We'll say 700 because then that balances out the 2
Yeah,
costs. Okay. 700.
And then I mean you could just go early on Rauchman, Lasardi. Does he have either?
He has Rauchman.
You could go Lasardi, and he'll have a bit of a Bicky in the bank next week.
Yep. My only fear with that would then go Cooper Bye up to someone next week, or
Well, he's got the cash to do it.
yeah, you probably have to. Does that leave him a little short on reserves? Is my only question.
So he'd have
So Hines
Hines
is one, Chester's
Chester.
another. That's a fair.
Macassini,
Yeah.
and
Then who's the fifth? Paseka? Do you reserve Paseka?
is that who's reserved at the moment?
How? Martin. But Martin will have to start, obviously, because
That's fine.
Lasardi's
Howe.
not playing.
That's fine. You got Howe.
So Howe.
He'll have Keon Chwal and Howe at his front row.
Yep. And then sorry, just to reiterate the reserves, Chester, Hines, Macassini, and
Howe.
Would you be confident playing Setu? Would you look to find Martin?
Oh, he's got Setu currently starting.
Yeah. That's my only thing.
Just put in Macassini.
But then you have to find one more reserve.
I think Paseka's fine for that.
Yeah, I think that's okay.
Yep.
I think it looks pretty good going, what did we say? White, Yo, and Tracy.
Yep.
To McLean, Chwal, and Lasardi.
Yep. I like it.
That's 3 pretty good moves.
Yep.
That's what we would do, Stewie.
Easy. And then we'll move on to SC Kiwi, who we're going to have to do a little bit of finding for, which is no dramas.
Shout out SC Kiwi. He was super keen last week and just didn't message his team in time this week. But we do have his team from we can see it in the SC Blueprint League.
Yeah. So another reason to join the SC Blueprint League.
That's
so
it. Another reason.
Find you for looking at your team from last week. I'll quickly pull that up for us.
Big shout out the legends in the SC Blueprint League.
Indeed.
Which shout out Adam actually. Yeah, currently running away with it on 6605. Currently in the top 1,000, which is really impressive. Just looking at his team, this is a good team.
Yeah, facts. All right, perfect.
Rightio.
SC Kiwi's team. So we've got Grant, Pat Carrigan.
I should be able to pull up here as well.
Howe, Mooney, Miles Martin, Sewer, Lukey, Chan, Martin, Fafita, Rauchman, Cleary, Atkinson, which I think is fine. Purdy, Pezzett, same thing. Centre wing looking pretty stacked. And then fullbacks, obviously. Adam Dewey at flex, which I'm really love.
I don't hate that.
Yeah, I like it.
So Walsh goes?
Immediately Walsh goes and Crichton goes for me. So they're probably two.
How much money? I don't know how much in the bank.
How much he has in the bank, unfortunately.
Let's pretend it's nothing. And if he's got more than living life.
So
that'll get you 1.3 million basically by going Walsh and Critter out.
Yep. So Walsh and Critter out. And then
is there anyone else who has to go? Would we ever boost here? I don't know if we would,
I don't think we would.
Trey
Mooney, that's pretty luxury.
That's very luxury. I mean, I guess that's it. If we can find 2 good moves and leave 150k in the bank to go Mooney to Chwal, maybe you do that. Yep. Otherwise, you just bring in a centre wing and a fullback.
Yeah, so maybe if you take a punt on Turbo.
Yeah, because then that's not going to leave you enough money to go for a decent
centre wing.
Centre wing. Interesting. What else could we do? Is there any
has to do a fullback? Is there a world where you could hold Reece and go Teddy next week?
You could.
Don't hate it.
Yeah.
Don't hate it at all, actually. Because it feels like, if you're not going for the guy at fullback this week, I don't know what you're doing. You'd have to go Turbo.
Yeah, you'd have to do Turbo or...
Would you fix the Mooney situation at front row forward? Would you look to a 12 this week before he goes up exponentially?
Then what do you do to get the money? Maybe you go Crichton to...
Chester.
Oh, yeah, another person without Chester. Far out, there's a lot of people who don't have
Chester. What he could do is he could bring in Chester, get rid of Atkinson, bring in Hines. Possibility.
I don't know if you have the money for that. Oh, hang on, you're saying Walsh out. You're saying Walsh out.
Yeah. I just mean because that would mean you don't have to get a fullback.
What's Chester costing, though? That would need money in the bank.
I think you need a little bit of money in the bank.
Yeah.
But I think that's a good option.
Yeah. Is 3 premium halves the go-to?
What's Nico costing these days? 800?
Well, that's a good thought. I honestly forgot that you could put Chester at fullback. You could even just go Walsh to Chester, and then you got 400k. So you could go Crichton to whoever,
McLean
and Mooney to 12.
Crichton to McLean, Mooney to 12. That's going to be enough money.
That sounds pretty good.
Chester's definitely playable every week. I don't have him anymore, but look, it's going to be.
Well, you don't even have to. I mean, because you can put Sewer as the starting if you didn't want to reserve him.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah,
that does sound like if you have the money in the bank, Kiwi, to go Walsh, Atkinson to Hines, Chester, I'd probably look at that. But if you want to boost and go Walsh, Critter, and Mooney to Chester, probably McLean, Chwal, I think we love both those two.
Yep.
I think that's
solid options.
I think those are great options.
Yeah. Easy done.
I think either of those sound pretty good.
Yep.
It's a good team.
Yeah.
Shout out Kiwi.
Indeed.
Do you have Arama Howen as
front row? Yes. Yeah.
Let's do a lot of people. All right.
Very nice.
Cool. Perfect. Easy. Well, yeah, obviously we'll fire that back to the lads and see what they're doing this week. If there's any of you as well, we should note out there who are watching and, you're a bit uncertain, we'll give you the time of day. Just send us a message. We'd be more than happy. even if you already have some trades in mind and you just want to sort of second look at it, just send a photo through of your trades, maybe of your team as well, and we can always sort of recommend we like it, maybe we want to do this instead. But in doing the trade table, you guys get a lot of insight into who we're looking at. Like common names were Chester, McLean, Twal, Hines, Cleary.
I mean, those are the big dogs this week, I think.
Absolutely, pretty much. So, definitely feel free to send us a message on Instagram.
It's no different to Ben messaging me and Elliot to be like, do these trades sound good, boys? I'm stuck between these two options. Got him.
I didn't really get anyone, but I'm more than happy to admit that I send you
it's
options.
all good, mate.
So,
Lovely.
We'll dive into the physio files then, lads.
Dive in.
Let's do it.
Perfect. So we've got a bit to cover this week. There was a few injuries, and I should note there's about 400 Category 1 HIAs, which I'm not going to note because we'll be here till sunset tonight.
It was that Sharks Warriors game, wasn't it? Just
everyone just went. So, obviously I'm pretty sure Physio sent out a whole photo of all the Cat 1 HIAs if you're ever lost. Otherwise, you can just go to casualty ward and they'll put them all up there as well. So either of those are fine. I'm not going to touch on them today because they're quite boring. You're not going to trade anyone in for 1 week. Major injuries this week. Obviously, Stephen Crichton went down with his AC joint injury. Looking at 2 to 4 weeks for that. Bronson Jerry called into the starting side. So probably not quite enough time to warrant a Bronson Jerry trade in. It's definitely time to sell Crichton for that. Harry Grant went down with a knee injury. He's been cleared to play this week, as far as we know. However, I am suspecting he may play some managed minutes, depending on how sore he is coming into that game. Just look for maybe a little bit less running of the ball, but that's absolutely fine. He's been killing it. So, Keon, the next one, similar sort of thing. Uncertainty around MCL or PCL. The Rabbitohs have not given any clarity around that. Obviously, conflicting views between Wayne Bennett and Keon himself. So he's expected to play through for the next little bit, but I do expect him to play somewhat managed minutes, similar to the Payne-Haas situation where he's going to play a few less minutes and the output might not be as strong. So don't be surprised if he gets between 50 and 60. I think it's still fair. I don't think you have to rush to trade him out, but he may go down slightly with that. Reece Walsh, fractured cheekbone, looking at 4 to 8 weeks. There's actually no set timeline for that, so kind of dependent. Obviously, the surgery looked pretty bad from all accounts, so probably looking upwards to sort of 6 to 8 weeks for that. Jesse Arthur slots into that fullback role. Important to note as well for bringing him in, apparently Ben Hunt came out saying that in preseason Jesse Arthur did train at fullback as a backup, and in that time he really looked to run the ball a lot. So that might mean that Jesse Arthurs is going to just have a strong base, which would be absolutely awesome as a trade-in. Adam Reynolds is in doubt for this week. He is named to play, but wouldn't be too surprised if there's a late switch there. The guidance around his injury is 1 to 2 weeks, usually. So the fact that he's backing up is a little bit crazy. We'll see if he just sort of is a kicking bot. I would expect the Cowboys to target him all day defensively. In a similar Broncos vein, Ben Hunt, 6 to 8 weeks with an MCL injury. Obviously an absolute dog because he played through an MCL injury, which is crazy. Just strapped it up and said, it hurts, but we'll get on with it. Which probably was to Reynolds' benefit in his return. So, he's out for 6 to 8 weeks. Blake Moser currently in the team. If they lose another half, Duffy will be that one that slots in for Reynolds. So, probably not looking at either of them, but definitely options if you just need to bottom out someone. They'll probably go up a touch each. Next one is the Braden Burns ankle injury. He was escorted from the field at about a bit after half time, limping with his ankle, but he's been named to start this week. Apparently he's all good. It was just a bit of a scare with that. So interesting to see if he has a little bit of a niggle there and is just playing through, or whether he's actually just fine and it was, I don't know, maybe a shock factor or something there. Metcalf, sad to see him injured again, but 2 to 4 weeks with a hamstring injury. CHT just slots in there nicely. So maybe Tanner Boyd's output goes up a bit this week, going back to that dominant sort of ball-playing role, whilst CHT just sort of looks to run the ball a little bit on the left-hand side. We'll wait and see on that. Bradman Best, as we touched on with the groin injury, looking at anywhere between 3 to 5 weeks from all accounts. Left the field halfway through on the weekend, so I've forgotten the name of the young gun, but
DeCourcy,
thank you. He'll be in there for a little bit. He looked all right on the weekend. It's probably just a wait and watch. There's not a lot of centre wing cheapies, but if he gets a big score, you never know.
Yeah.
Bailey Simonson obviously went down with that terrible ankle dislocation, and it's turned out there's a fracture as well. So he's going to be out for a very long time. From the sounds of it, he'll have to get surgery, and then obviously anything to do with ankles just take a lot of rehab. So there's sort of speculation around who's going to slot into that wing. Sean Russell will be back next week, so I wouldn't look at any of the cheapies they currently have there. Sean Russell feels like he'll just go straight onto that wing. Jonah Pezzett, hamstring injury, 4 to 6 weeks, which I don't think any of us sort of knew about the severity of that, but he's going to be out for a little bit. So Ronald Volkman might be a play if he proves to us on the weekend that he's that guy. I don't know, like for like with the Eels 5/8, you never know. Otherwise, Pezzett can probably just sit there. He'll be back just before Origin, so can't complain at that. And the final one, the Clint Gutherson injury, 4 weeks with the hamstring injury. So Tyrell Sloan to start. Could be a little play depending on what he does at fullback. He was pretty good 2 years ago there and then down last year. So it'll just really depend on what sort of Tyrell Sloan shows up for me.
I guess so, but he'd have to be pretty good because he's like 500k.
Yeah, and the Dragons are terrible. So you're going to need to see some consistent scoring out of them, considering they got held to 0 on the weekend.
And I don't think there's anything consistent about Tyrell Sloan.
No way. But yeah, that's the Physio Files for this week. Yeah, obviously a few Cat 1 HIAs, so don't expect if there's a few weird and wacky players filling in at spots, but it's not long term.
Fantastic.
Okie dokie. I think that brings us to our buys and sells. And so let's just begin with Dan in our snake fashion down the line and then back through with our sells. So hit me with what you got.
Buys and sells. My first panic buy, someone that no one on this table at the start of the week owns, Alex Twal. Now, Alex is awkward because, I mean, he looks like just a good, solid front rower. I think I compared him to Aaron Clark on my stats, on the stats spotlight this week. And that's kind of what he looks like, just good base, good power. I'm going to put him at, I'm going to say a 6. I honestly think it's kind of a luxury move. He looks great, but if you've got front rowers, like in my team, I've got front rowers I'm pretty happy with. Like, I don't see the need to go for him. I think if you're going to upgrade like a Mooney to him, it's absolutely a great move. I'm sure you guys are going to disagree and give him a higher mark. But for me personally, I'm not feeling the need to rush Chwal into my side. So I'd say like a 6.
Nah, I do agree. It's quite a luxury move, especially for many Ford owners. I know Ford's quite highly owned. If you held Payne Haas, maybe you could look at a Payne Haas flip or a Keon flip. Like we've had a look in some other teams.
Yeah.
But for that reason, I'd probably keep him down at like a 7.
Yeah,
I'd probably just elevate that slightly. I think he looks really solid, and even if you did have to plug him at 2RF, he's banging with the big boys. He's just gone 90 and then 85 or 86 or something like that. So if he keeps that up, that'd be nice. But this is probably the last week for it if you wanted to jump on.
I think if he continues scoring 90 every week and you buy it for 700k, like that's probably.
I guess that's still under.
Yeah.
I tend to agree with both of you. I think it's somewhere between that sort of range. I think it is a luxury trade, but in saying that, you can just set forward in him and Stefano there and have just 3 free reserves every week. So definitely looking to upgrade Mooney in the coming weeks. If you are, great trade.
Cool.
All right, my buy is none other than the English beast, Kai Pearce-Paul, who's been completely unlocked on that Tigers right edge. A little bit conflicted. He's 696k. Still got a break even of 16 though, so going to go up in cash. Pretty expensive, so I'll probably put him at around a 6 buy. For me, too many fires this week to look at him when you've got a 12 for 600k getting 90s and you can plug him at FRF and 2RF. It feels like you could just look there for downgrade, use more cash for upgrades in other places. But I guess that means if there are more fires, like you have to trade out Reese, you do already have the cash. Obviously, Lasardi and Rauchman coming back in the coming weeks. Cash really isn't a huge problem. Massive pod play there, though. I don't actually know his ownership. Traded in this round by 776 people, but I don't.
He'll still be low.
Yeah, very low.
He'll be sub 5%, I reckon. Yep. Maybe at the very least high single digits.
Yeah. Anyway, so yeah, solid pod option there. Looking really good. Obviously scored the most tries in his NRL season so far. out of his seasons, like as in he's scored more than he did in his stint at Newcastle. But yeah, freeing up the arm, offloading at will, flick passing like a beast. I don't know. If I had the cash, if I didn't have more things to do, I'd really, really look at him. But I cannot.
Yep, I agree. If I didn't have more things to do, I'd be doing it as well.
Yeah. I don't know if he's a touch lower because I think there's some other options around that price range for me. There's also Lockouts, obviously, who had another blinder of a week last week. So I don't know. Maybe there's consideration there around Lockouts considerably cheaper. I think 50 or 60k cheaper.
Yeah.
So yeah, maybe you consider him instead. But I'm not disagreeing with the fact the Tigers have really unlocked him. My buy of the week is none other than Tom Trbojevic. It's funny because me and Dan sort of talked about him at the start of the year, pre their buy, and we're laughing that like he got 2 100s back to back, I think, when Manly looked absolutely woeful. Like, what could the bloke actually do? And he's just kept doing it, to be honest. It's interesting to see. Currently owned, though, by 47% in the top 10%. So it feels like if he continues to explode, you're missing the train. But in saying that, you're not really bringing him in as a super pod. So, yeah, I'm looking to get him in this week. I would put him at maybe a 7. I think you can't take previous year's injuries into account, which was a great point raised by Dan. Obviously, I was a bit skeptical, but if you bring in players expecting them to get injured, you're going to miss out on some good players, because if Kalen Ponga returns in the coming rounds and then just continues in his red-hot form and doesn't get injured for the rest of the year, you can't really not trade him in just based on the fact you think he might get a Cat 1 HIA or something like that. So I'm going to put him at a 7. I think he's an easy flip from Reece. If you already have Cleary, he's probably the next trade I'd do. I'd probably do Cleary as a priority over him. But then if you already have Cleary like myself, he'd probably be the next on the pecking order.
Yeah, if I talk from a neutral standpoint, obviously it's my opinion, but you're probably around that 7. But I just rank him a little bit lower because of the injury. I'm kind of looking at his ownership, and like on one hand it's scary, but then on the other hand it's like anti-pod territory. Is kind of like I'm licking my lips a little bit. I'm like, if he gets injured or if he shows he's kind of got one hamstring or is on one leg for like a couple games, or they're up by a lot of points and then they just hook him to save his longevity. Like, I can see that happening. And I'm kind of happy not to own him more than I am scared that he's going to explode. I mean, to be honest, the draw does look pretty nice, but I'm happy to watch him. I need to go to Cleary this week anyway, so probably put him at 6.
Yeah, I'm the same as you. I think he looks good. I think my phrasing was, if you bring him in like thinking he's going to get injured, then just don't do it. Like, there's no point looking at a guy you think is going to get injured. So yeah, if you're that, you may as well just anti-pod him like Elliot. But yeah, I will say I am pretty terrified of this game against the Dragons. That could be a big problem.
There's a bloke that's going to get 180 against the Dragon. It's Tom Trbojevic.
Yep.
Yeah, definitely a good captaincy option if you can do VC Cleary, Captain Turbo. Great options there.
Yep.
Heading back down the line in our normal fashion, my panic sell is Dave Fafita. I'm going to put him at a 3, and the lads to my left raise a good point. He's got Canberra Raiders in Perth and then the Dragons in...
Doesn't matter where it is.
Yeah, wherever it is. I don't know, but it's the Dragons. Anyway, so kind of 2 good matchups coming up this year. The Raiders have obviously been down in form, and defense is a bit of an issue. He will be running at...
Noah Martin.
Yeah.
Right side.
Yeah, who's a bigger body at second row, so I'm not too scared of him getting around that. But he'll get one-on-one with Strange, who's typically a good defender. But look, in Perth for a day game, I think there's going to be points there in the heat of the day. So I think he's a 4 as a sell. You could definitely sell him if you need money. He's definitely fine to go down to Lasardi or Couchman, who will both, like Ratchman, that is, who will both return next week. But I think if you can somehow hold him for 2 games and just get Lasardi at flex or something like that, and then look to put him to Teddy in 2 games' time, I think that's a great play. I'm in favour of that over trading for Fafita this week. There's a world you can definitely do it, but I don't think you should do it unless you need to do it.
Yeah, I can't lie. I agree wholeheartedly. I think he's definitely a hold at least for 2 games, see how he goes. If you got Fafita at the start of the season and you thought he was locked into an 80-minute role, going to be back to his 100% best, I can't lie, you're probably delusional. Like, I know we talked a lot of crap to Dan about it, but let's be honest, Fafita hasn't been the massive work rate dude forever, really. He's always just been the Latrell sort of build of a player who will do some amazing tackle breaks and then kind of feel like he needs to just run back to not quite the wing, but just not get involved. So yeah, there's that, and I think he's probably the first one you look to downgrade to someone like a Lasardi or whatever. But there's some creative ways to do it with flex, and obviously that Teddy break even comes at a nice time. Obviously it's at 132, 40 stays in his rolling average for another 3 weeks or so. 2 weeks, sorry, I meant. And then, yeah.
Yep. Fafita's got a 2-week audition to stay in my team, or else he's gone. And honestly, even if he goes well, he might go anyway. My other second rowers are just better.
Yeah.
Finafuyaki, Martin, Lukey. Chan I've been kind of looking at badly, but I mean, running off Hughes at the moment is looking better than running off the Walker Trell kind of edge. It's just not looking as what it was cracked up to be.
I think they just stacked too many chips on their left edge. If they could flip Fafita to the right edge,
which they did. They did do that in the Dogs game. That will be an interesting watch to see if they stick with that.
Purely fatigue for Tallis Duncan, I think. So I don't think they'll stick.
I don't know. We'll see. But
yeah.
Yeah, Fafita's. I don't know. I'd say a bit higher. I'd say like a 5 or a 6. I'd be willing to give him these 2 weeks, but if someone wanted to trade him out this week for something great,
no, yeah, absolutely,
I would be fuming.
I would love to see how it goes this week. If he marks up on the right outside, in front of Sanders, he could just do the Gagai
That would be
thing.
great. That would be fantastic.
He could do the Gagai thing, but yeah. That would be nice. And also Tallis Duncan gets to run off Cody Walker.
Yeah.
He definitely runs better lines than Fafita. So.
I think it's just gone super under the radar how disappointing Fafita's been. He got some good 70, he got some good 60s, which is great, but people brought him in thinking he was going to get 90s.
Yeah, try threat.
Yeah.
Offloading, tackle busting.
Which he hasn't.
He just looks flat-footed.
Especially try threat.
Yeah.
He just doesn't look like scoring.
Well, he's kind of done the Bo Fermor thing, right? He just
100%
hasn't looked like he has in other years. But obviously, Fafita did have that lower floor, and we
Definitely.
thought Wayne could get the best out of him. But he just doesn't vibe test. Eye test. He just doesn't really pass it at all. He doesn't come close. He backs into the line. He's flat-footed. Sorry to cut you off. But
No. I was going to say we played less for Fafita as well, so it's
yeah,
it's what it is.
yeah.
Cool. I think it's you now, mate.
Oh, back to me. Awesome. Let's just jog the memory here. Awesome. Yes, Trayson Mooney. Yeah. So he is actually leaving my team this week.
Spoilers.
Yeah, a bit of spoilers there. Maybe I shouldn't have dropped that. Call me Tom Holland the way I dropped these Marvel spoilers. But yeah, Trayson Mooney. I think he's probably cracked up to be a 6. Maybe that's a little bit inflated due to all the fires that are happening this week. You don't really need to trade him at all, let's be honest. But he just is only performing his price. And I think when you have a prospect of Twal there looming there for 600k, you only have to spend 130. Yeah. It would be. It's just a really nice trade, especially when Twal's banging out 80s and 90s. Hopefully, goes along that same trajectory. But yeah, definitely not something you have to make this week. So I don't know. I'd want to hear your thoughts, lads.
I think to reinforce your point quickly, because I think you might have some rebuttal, maybe, Dan. No, maybe not. Okay.
Anyway.
We're sort of considering only the trade to Twal, but I think there's a world where a lot of viewers or just other Supercoach players have him at second row. So not only have you got the option to go up to Twal, for a lot of other players, you might have the option to go down to Rauchman or down to Lasardi and make a stack of cash. So I think that reinforces your point, is that you do have options there. Even if you have Howe at second row, you could easily flip him up and make him your FRF2 for now if you don't have Twal or forward and you only have Stefano or any of that sort of variations there. Even if you have Paseka, I think you can confidently play him for 50 every week if you need to, if you're not confident in Aram Howe, but I think Howe's the better play there. But I think there's options either side, front row forward and second row forward with him, which makes him definitely a 6 for me.
It just feels like, why would you have someone playing their price when you've got people overperforming performing well, and then, or you could just drop down and make the cash, and then someone who's probably going to get a similar sort of score. Your thoughts, Dan?
Yeah. I mean, I'm holding him this week just because we'll get to it soon.
Yeah.
I need to. But I got nothing against selling him. But he's fine. He's priced at a 47, And last week people were like, "Oh my god, he's so terrible," and he got 48.
Yeah.
So I'm like, those that logic isn't quite connecting for me. Like,
And that low score is about to drop out as well. So
yeah, so he'll lose money this week, but then like next week,
20 or 30.
he'll go up a bit. So yeah, so I think he's fine. But yeah, you can definitely sell him. Like, I mean, you're going to sell him over Martin, Lukey, Chan. You'd probably sell him over Fafita.
Yeah.
That's a tight race, actually.
Yeah.
That's a good question. Who would?
Absolutely. Unless you need the money, absolutely Trey Mooney over Fafita.
Yeah.
With the 2 games he has. So.
Right. I mean, in two games, it might be a different world we live in. But for now, Mooney. Yeah, I'd agree. I'd probably say a 5 or a 6, similar to you guys.
Yep. I think that's where, like you've said, everything you've said is completely correct with him playing his price and whatnot. But I think people just base Trey Mooney on what they thought he would be. 100%. And I think they thought he would be this massive minute player with high raps from the Raiders, and the Knights didn't really have anyone.
Yeah.
But he's just not that. He's been managed a little bit, but doesn't mean like his output's actually been pretty good. Point a minute's pretty
more than
pretty
a point
good.
A minute, to be honest.
More than a point a minute.
If he didn't get that sin bin, he'd probably be low 500Ks right now, and no one would be complaining.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah.
I'd probably still be looking to move him on regardless, but I think he's definitely not a major issue. You can just hold him there for as long as you need to, and he's not going to go down.
Yeah.
Cool. All right, Marcel, Valentine Holmes. A very, very, very disappointing 30 on the weekend. I thought it was going to be a dream matchup against his old side.
Yeah.
I almost threw the C on him, which would have been absolute disaster.
That would have been awesome.
However, he is still I'm going to say like a 3. I think I'm okay with Val for now. Like he got this 2-try game against Melbourne where he got 94, then he went 80, 75. So I'm like, it doesn't feel unrealistic for him to get back to that kind of mark. Dragons have Manly, Souths, Roosters. So yeah, Val, in a similar way to Fafita's got 2 weeks to impress me. You've got 3 weeks to impress me and stay in this side. And then they have their bye, and then Newcastle. So I've got a 2-week period to get rid of him in there if I need to. I need to see more. I need to see more runs. I need to see more ball in the red zone. I need more from Val. Otherwise, he'll have to go. But for now, I want to give him a chance.
By all means, that should go up. Like his runs should go up. That's probably an outlier. The Dragons aren't going to get 0 points every week. He's going to kick some goals, so he's not going to be ever that abysmal again.
Let's hope not.
Mark my words. But yeah. So for that reason, I probably put him. I just wonder if you could use him to go to another option this week, like 2 big Throbbingtons.
Well, he's also the same price as Casey McLean.
That was the one that came to my brain too.
Not a better centre than Val. Like, if you don't have the fires that we have, which some people won't have traded in Reece like yourself, Dan. Some people might already have Cleary. Might have Cleary Hines.
I think the only way I would go Val to McLean is if I owned Chwal. I owned one of Pierce Paul or Old Galatu. I owned Turbo.
Yeah.
There's so many things I'm
That's
doing
probably
before
a good
that.
point.
Yeah.
But, I mean, yeah, if your team's like looking like that and you got Val, hey, go for it, bro. You do you. But yeah, I'm not that.
I'd put him slightly higher because I think he is a little bit dependent on the St. George actually doing something, and they did not look like doing anything on the weekend. Now it could be just one bad game. Obviously, Cole Flanagan back this week, but I don't know. I have no faith in the Dragons after that performance on the weekend. The fact that as abysmal as the Cowboys' defense is, and the fact they had so many play the balls in the red zone and they could not score. Something's going wrong there.
Yeah.
My other fear is Tyrell Sloan out the back now. That bloke loves holding the ball and just taking the line on himself at fullback. So is the ball going to get to Val Holmes as much as age-old Clint Gutherson, who just does the old early ball to Val? Maybe not.
Yeah. That's pretty much it from that part.
But yeah, probably about a 6 for me. Not crazy high.
6,
but,
cool. I'm probably down there, Dan. 3 or 4.
Cool. Beautiful. Alrighty, guys, just finishing off this episode with our trades and skippers of the week. Mine are super obvious. I've alluded to it the entire show. I need Nathan Cleary. Sanders and Atkinson has been a colossal failure. They have to go. I was trying to be creative and be like, oh, can I sell like Kinney and like, I don't know, a Chan or a Mooney or something like that and keep but it doesn't work because it means I still have to play one of them every single week, which I'm sick of doing. It's tanking my rank and I'm done with it. So I'm going Kinney and who else did I trade out? Kinney and
Sanders, right?
Yes, Kinney and Sanders. Yeah, that makes sense. Kinney and Sanders to Cleary and Lasardi. So because I had Sewer or I had someone in my flex, which meant I could do magical things.
You would have had Kinney. He would have had Chester.
Oh, yeah, I did the 3 fullbacks, so I went, yeah. But it definitely works.
Yeah,
I'm
yeah.
looking at it right here.
Well,
So,
yeah, you've made the trade. So
I have
it
made the
works.
trades. We're all good lads. So,
work.
yeah. Cleary's in the team. There's so many good things I'm missing out on this week, which I'm not happy about, but it had to be done. Chuck the VC on Cleary, and now I will not be falling behind from that aspect, which is good.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, and then captains. I'm going to VC Cleary. Captain. I've currently got it on Trell, but when we talked about Trell versus Sungy, I'm kind of like, oh, don't know if I'm loving that. So, I mean, there might be a world where I go Sewer, like Sewer Farlonga, or
Is it the mic? The headphone.
All right. Back to Saw for longer.
there might be a world where I captain Sewer Farlonga or
I think it's for longer.
Farlonga.
I don't think we need to get politically correct right now.
Honestly, I'm pretty beat up for options this week. It might be him. I tell you what, Jackson Purdue doesn't feel like the worst option. But I probably won't do that. It'll probably be Latrell or Sewer Farlonga.
Do it. Yep. Easy.
Do it.
Just a note on trade-ins, actually. A lot of the trades between us were making. Tom Javojevic 8% traded in this week. Alex 12, 7.5% traded in this week.
People aren't stupid.
Hines 6.4 and Cleary 6.2.
Yeah, people aren't stupid.
Tavana 3 though, bro. That's what we're
Yeah,
talking
6.7%
about.
on Tavana. He's going to go up a bit, but I don't think he can.
I think people are just doing it just
For legit
pride it
2
down to
weeks.
just to gain cash. Like,
Yeah.
anyway, who's next?
You want to go? I'm
jump
happy to
in?
go.
I don't
I'm
mind.
locked and loaded. Maybe I go because then it'll give me time to pull the blueprint up if that's all right.
Okay. Yeah, good point.
Perfect. So yeah, after a pretty successful week last week, just the 2 trades for me this week. Reece Walsh down to Turbo and Mooney to Alex 12. So pretty happy with that. I was looking at a boost and going for Fido or Chan to either Kaipius Bull or Olakawadu. I could do either, but yeah, I don't know if I'm in love with that as much anymore. It feels like a wasted boost just to do something that I like a lot, but it's not really necessary. Fafita and Chan have been absolutely fine, and yeah, I might lose 20 points or 30 points in the coming couple of weeks, but I think that's not worth a boost. And so for me, just the 2 of those, and pretty simple for me, VC Cleary and Captain on Turbo. So I'm risking it all. I'm risking my life.
Damn.
You could get 150.
I think it's
He
fair.
could get 150, yeah. So if I think I said to Elliot yesterday, we were talking, honestly, if Cleary gets anything over, honestly, probably 90, I'm taking it after the horrendous thing that was the captains last week. I'm not sold on Macassini against Newcastle this week. Left centre last week for the Raiders was Sebastian Chris, who did absolutely nothing. And they didn't use Macassini well on the weekend. So I'd be more than happy to throw Crichton in there instead of him and put the captaincy on bed and take the loop if Cleary gets 90 plus. So that's that for me. Yeah, pretty simple.
Cool.
Awesome. On to me. Cool. So obviously Reece goes out for Nathan Cleary. I had enough money to straight swap that if I did want to, but didn't do that. We're actually going to boost. Brought in Alex Twal for the Tresan Mooney himself. And then what was Lasati I brought in, and then shuffled down Sasangi into CTW. So
Selling Crichton.
selling Crichton. Sorry, yeah, getting rid of that homeless man. No, he's not.
He's injured.
He's injured. Yeah. Anyway, Lasati a week early just to make the cash for that third 12 trade. And
Nice.
I've got 138 in the bank anyway.
Yep.
Cool. Yeah.
I guess we should actually touch on trades left for everyone as well. So I have 3 boost 36 trades.
Same.
And you have
34 trades and 2 boosts.
Okay. Yeah, so still plenty of trades in the bank. You made 1 trade round 2. None of us made a trade round 3. So round 1.
I didn't make a trade round 2.
No,
Oh,
made a
he
trade.
did.
Elliot did.
Yep.
Yeah.
I made
Well, that's
one.
the difference.
Made
He made
mine.
1 extra trade and 1 extra boost.
Yeah.
Used.
So all still chilling on trades, and a lot of the viewers sent through. They will also look like that a fair few trades. I think you got to try find some tradeless weeks or 1 trade weeks in the next coming bit before Origin as well.
Yeah, they'll come. They'll come.
Yeah.
But yeah,
Captains?
VC Cleary, obviously, and then I might look at a little C on JC on a Sunday
Yeah, I love
against
that.
Parramatta. So
love that.
that could be nice. And that's me.
Very good. Blueprint.
Yep.
Now, we're not locked in on our trades yet. We were having a big discussion before. It's honestly really difficult. Our team's in a really weird spot.
Yeah.
What we've got at the moment, provisional, is...
We're looking at Reece Walsh, Sam Walker, and Moses Leo to Tom Chester, Cleary, and McLean. So stacking up on that Panthers side that is so dominant at the moment. Obviously, Chester would slot into fullback spot instead of flex, however we want to do it, and then maybe look to trade Kinney out in the coming weeks. But yeah, just some fires. The other ones that are sort of on the chopping block, we do have Trey Mooney at front row forward, Keon, another one, maybe eventually time to go. We've got Fafita. But yeah, it's sort of, we're good other than that. So I think that's sort of what we lean towards. There might be some late changes. And then, I don't know, we didn't really talk about captains, but just live, it's probably VC Cleary, Captain Sewer, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, looking at a boost on the blueprint this week.
Beautiful.
Sure, that looks good.
Let's finish off the week, guys, with our tips of the week. Someone pull the games up?
Yep. Absolutely.
Lovely. Okay, starting off Thursday night, Bulldogs versus Penrith. Penrith 13 plus.
Penrith 13 plus. Yeah, I'll go it as well.
Yeah, Penrith 13 plus as well. Nice and simple. Next game, Dragons versus the Sea Eagles.
I wanted to go for a shock Dragons 1-12, but I don't think I can. I'll go Manly 1-12.
Yeah. Manly 13 plus.
Yeah, I'm going Manly 13 plus all day.
Fair enough.
Next game, Broncos versus Cowboys, Suncorp Stadium on a Friday night. What are we thinking?
Broncos depleted. I still think they get it done, though. Bronx 1-12.
Bronx 1-12.
Surely the fullback's too good.
I'm going Cowboys 1-12.
Wow.
Yeah, I think they've got it. As much as I love my Broncos.
Fair enough.
Kid loves to tip against his own team. So do you little kitten.
I mean, I did it once.
I mean, are we playing tips or are we just barracking for our own tips?
There's only one guy who picked the Broncos to beat Melbourne, by the way. Anyway, continuing.
Yeah, good on you. Next game, Rabbitohs in Perth against the Raiders.
I'm going to go Raiders for a shock. Raiders 1-12.
No, I'll have Rabbits.
Yeah.
1-12.
1-12.
Rabbitohs 1-12.
I'm going to go Rabbits 13 plus. I think there was issues for the Raiders there. So.
Fair.
Next game, Sharks at home to the Roosters in Perth.
Yeah, it's a good game. It's a good game. I still can't pick the Sharks to save my life. I think the Sharks will win, so I'm going to go Roosters 1-12.
I'll go Sharks 1-12.
I'm going to go Sharks 13 plus.
Yeah, fair enough.
And then final game, Storm vs Wires at Amy Park in Melbourne.
Melbourne aren't losing 4 in a row.
No.
Melbourne 13 plus.
Melbourne 1-12.
I'm going to go Melbourne 1-12 as well.
Fair enough.
Yeah, two teams on a down-ticker form there, right?
Yeah,
Wires lost and, yeah.
Wires are back-to-back losses.
Where'd all the Wires fans go? We're barracking for them, saying they were the real deal.
Well,
this week's poo slinger of the round, the Eels at Combank against the Titans.
I think Moses is still too good for the Titans. I'll go Para 1-12.
And Titans 1-12.
I'm going Titans 13 plus. I think I've tipped it 3 weeks in a row. They're due to just blow a team out. They'll do it eventually. And then it's second v third. Not two teams I ever thought I'd say second v third, but West Tigers at home to the Knights.
This is the game of the round, I think.
Yeah.
It actually could be.
It could be really good.
I'm going to go Tigers 1-12.
I think Knights 1-12.
I'm also going to go Tigers 1-12.
Nice.
Yeah.
That's us, guys. Tips done.
Awesome.
Thanks. Done for the week.
Yeah, thanks very much for joining us as always. If you have any questions or you want us to have a little look over your trades, obviously we mentioned before, send it through to the Instagram page. Go and check out Dan's beautiful stats spotlight for the week. That might shed some light on some trades. And then obviously we'll post our Captain's Corner on Thursday morning this week, so you'll all get to have a good look at some captaincy options and history of their performances against teams. Yeah, other than that, thanks for joining us. I hope your arrows are green. I'm going to steal DV's infamous line. But yeah, teams are looking strong. Make your trades this week. Set yourself up right. Yeah.
Love it. Cheers,
Awesome.
guys. Have a good week.
Cheers.